This college basketball picks edition of the Sports Gambling Podcast is presented by WinBet. WinBet is now offering a weekend basketball bonus. Place four $50 basketball bets, and regardless of outcome, you'll get a $50 free bet. Download the WinBet app now or visit wynnbet.com and start winning today. We're also brought to you by Stable Duel. Stable Duel is a horse racing DFS app where you can play free and paid games for real cash prizes. You can win as much as $25,000 with one entry. Head over to StableDuel.com to get started today. We're also brought to you by PropSwap, America's marketplace to buy and sell sports bets. Use promo code SGP on your first deposit to receive up to $500 in bonus cash. Head over to PropSwap.com or download the PropSwap app today. And of course, don't forget to download the SGPN app for all of our free picks and podcasts.
This is Randy Cross. You're listening to SGPN. Let it ride.
Long Cox.
He's one of those guys who will get penetration.
Welcome everyone to the Sports Gambling Podcast. I'm Sean, stacking the money green with my partner in picks, Ryan. Real money Kramer. What's happening, Kramer?
Dog.
How about them Hokies, Sean?
Oh my God.
This is March.
Ryan, we're taping this while the Hokies are playing to accommodate Colby Diva Dant database. What's happening, Colby?
Almost had a nervous breakdown. Too many games going on. I had to go see the therapist. Finally listened to the neighbor about how many basketball games. Sorry, I'm not in studio. I will be back tomorrow. But yes, I mean these games. How about all these games? The Hokies last night. Sean, you left.
Yes.
You yoga in the middle of a great basketball.
Hot yoga.
Yeah, I mean,
Colby's cutting out.
He was just peaking. I think he was getting very excited.
Fired up.
I mean, I think, and just, real micro, but man, that play, I hated it the whole time. Hokie, like it was clear they were just going to have this dude take the shot, but he wanted to take the shot. J.R. Smith style. Confidence was there.
It was funny too. His move where he like went to pull up his shirt, but then didn't pull up the shirt. He midway through had decided, oh man, my abs aren't quite where they should be. I don't want to show off.
Yeah, he knew it was just the first round. That's essentially why he held back. So, and shout out to all the people that recorded inside the stage. It's crazy how you can get like
shots,
you get like 6 different angles on a pretty cool moment. So yeah, I mean. Maybe I'm just feeling like I haven't had enough March Madness because we were robbed of a year.
Yeah,
but it feels like this has been an crazy conference. And it could be that like this is the first time we've had God's eye just to have all the action
too. Yeah, because previously conference tournaments, we'd be able to keep up, watch some games, but just overwhelmed with action. And it's a great feeling. You know what else is a great feeling? Heading over to our presenting sponsor, WinBet.com, where you can bet big, win even bigger with WinBet. Oh man, so much college basketball going on. Got that weekend March Madness bonus. All users who bet at least $50 will, if you bet $50 for $50 bets on the weekend, you'll receive a free $50 bet. Easy enough. Plus, they got the March Madness bonus of betting $50 on the futures market. Receive a $10 free bet for each game the teams win in the tournament. Ooh. Round of 16 through championship only. So nice little bonus on top of that. And the big dog, the casino, the WinBet Casino, 100% first deposit match up to $1,000. That's right. 100% deposit match up to $1,000.
Place your bets, please.
Head over to winbet.com right now or download that Win Betting app. Offer subject to change. Terms and conditions at winbet.com. Must be 21 or older and present in the state where playthrough WinBet is available. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, call 1-800-522-4700. What a podcast, Ryan. We're going to be cranking out. I've whittled it down to 10 college basketball games. I had to prune 3 games off of Colby's sheet, one of which we already picked. Colby just the database needs the upgrade. I'm not going to repick the Temple game. I'm still on Temple. And then we got an interview with David Meltzer coming up as well. But let's get to it. Early tip here, Indiana, Illinois right now. This is in Indianapolis, Indiana, aka the Big Ten tournament. Illinois laying to Indiana coming off that win over Michigan. I mean, Michigan, how did they end up losing that game? I have no idea. And Illinois is like a team I like to fade tournament time, but maybe this is a perfect spot for them playing an Indiana team that's got to be a little tired here, especially with the early tip. Colby, what are you doing?
I mean, first off, if you're a Wake Forest or Xavier fan today, and you saw, they're the last four in according to Lenardi, and you saw Indiana come back and win that game against Michigan. You saw Wyoming hit a 3 to beat UNLV. You gotta be crying at even the Creighton win. But the Hoosiers, I think, look, they were a reason they were my dog to win the Big Sean, and be sharp that I am. I'm on the Hoosiers. I think that they played Illinois tough in the first half. The first time they played them, Illinois, stretched out in the second half. Mike Woodson was late to a couple adjustments. I think he fixes the mistakes. Hoosiers in an upset special in Indy.
No,
really?
No, this is the classic. You're right to realize this is the situation to take Illinois.
Yeah, I mean, I'm normally looking going, but a well rested Coffee Cockburn against this Indiana team that's probably
don't shoot free throws well.
Do you think they punched their ticket with that win over Michigan? Feels like they're in, right, Colby?
I think there's too much unknowns right now with Virginia Tech, Virginia, Colorado, Texas A&M. They need to make sure they win this game because there's teams on the bubble that are winning that are right next to them. So I feel like, okay, maybe they got in today, but why leave it up to what happens if Colorado beats Arizona? What happens if A&M continues to win? What happens if Virginia beats North Carolina tonight? That might surpass them and have them back on the outside. So
they certainly have a big motivation, but I'm with you, Kramer. I'm going Illinois.
The number's short, and just to get back to the name brand too probably has them. They're probably slightly in right now because big win over me. Like that's a huge comeback. Like people in the Big Ten circles, like people in the college basketball circles, are going to be talking about a couple things from today, and one of them is that massive comeback. So that definitely helps. But the number should be 4, 5 maybe. So
yeah, Illinois. Neither team has Illinois' offense not amazing free throw shooting, but I mean Indiana's worse. So yeah, I'm all over Illinois here, and the more we talk this out, the more I like it.
Something to monitor. Jacob Grandison for Illinois is a game time decision. He's a pretty key player on that team. Keep an eye on that.
Keep an eye on it.
Colby withheld that information till the very end. I see.
Yeah, look at this sandbagging son of a bitch, Colby Dant, holding out on key injury news before we get to it. Oh man, Texas A&M, what a win! They were one of my many locks that have cashed so far. Get a lock update down the line here. That was a crazy game. Very fortunate I had them +2. I didn't think I was going to have to sweat it out, and I did. It was a wild finish.
What an effort by Florida.
Yeah, very weird because they just seemed like completely uninterested in the game for most of it. Then totally came to life. Crazy ending there to walk off, and now they're catching 8 points against obviously a much better, higher rated Auburn team. The decision here is, can the momentum of Texas A&M carry them to hang against Auburn, or was that OT win, did that drain them? Colby, which way are you going?
I'm going A&M. You saw it with Boston College. I think when you have an advantage, you see it in the NFL playoffs all the time, or the first 4 in March Madness, where you see it. If you play some of these play-in games, I actually think it helps build your confidence, and the fact that Auburn hasn't been great away from the jungle. I'm gonna and they whooped A&M just recently by like 20 points. I think it was 17 on February 12th. I'm going to take a shot on A&M plus the points here, and they might not win the game, but I expect this to be a lot closer than the previous matchup. So give me the Aggies. Let's go with the 12th man, as Kramer likes to say.
And generally the fade, the crazy upset in March during March Madness works because there's generally a talent gap, right? Like maybe it's a team that got into the Sweet 16 and now there's a huge like UMBC as it comes to mind, right? It was very clear the next game that this team, like they weren't going to be able to win games at this level night in, night out. Now in the SEC, that's different. And Buzz, my man Buzz, if anyone is in the cold, if anyone is in the cold, first of all, the dude on
Kramer is just like a piece of lumber going right for that buzzsaw.
The dude on Florida looks just like Johnny Drama, complete aside. But Buzz Williams has to be in the cold tub right now, icing down his testicles because I mean, the man was losing his mind during that game. I don't know. I mean, sometimes the swagger of just hitting that game-winning shot, the confidence. They were speaking pretty confidently after the game, so
yeah, I'm gonna ride them.
And
plus they shot pretty well, and I do think. And you saw it with Syracuse not winning the game, but getting the easy cover and hanging around against Duke. I think teams that rely on shooting, you're playing the gym in the same games, the same rims, the same sight lines. It's easy to get your confidence again. So I'm going to take Texas A&M in the 8.
Buzz was always good at these spots for the Hokies. Like Colby saying, you're coming in off a play-in game. So you have
and offensive rebounding 25th in the nation. So that's actually better than Auburn. So I think they can make some shots. They can get their offensive rebounds. That's a formula for covering 8 points in my mind. Cincinnati, Houston in Fort Worth. Houston, massive favorite, laying 13 here against the Cincinnati Bearcats. Colby, I'll let you kick things off here. Big number for the Bearcats. What are you doing here?
First off, brutal beat. If anyone had East Carolina plus 5.5, a game neck and neck, and then Cincinnati ends up winning by 9 or 10. I feel like.
Yeah, they pulled away late.
But I think once again, I'm going to apply that same logic. I don't think Cincinnati's that good, but I know Houston is very depleted. I'm going to take a shot on the 13 because they played a game. I think that matters. Give me the 13 points in Cincinnati. I don't love it, but I think if you have to go one. You go Bearcats here.
I think the handy Colby just said because they're going to play the game. I'm going to take the 13 points.
No, the play-in game, the play-in aspect is a huge advantage here. And I think the couple times Houston won by 18 the last one that was in Houston. I know this is in Fort Worth, but I think Cincinnati can hang just enough in this game. Now I expect Houston to still win this game, but I think 13 a little large. I would probably have this number more at 10 and a half.
Apologies, Colby. Couldn't hear you.
Do I still have a lisp? I'm just sipping that beautiful whiskey you guys gave me for Christmas.
Kramer, what do you got?
You're scared. You're saying the number's too big. I mean, sure, but this is where I just step forward and be all chalk. This is the kind of game Houston wins by 25, and everyone's excited about Houston. Come on. We've seen this movie.
I'm going Houston, 4th in the nation in offensive rebounding. Well, I just don't think they're going to give Cincinnati much of a shot. And Cincinnati 289th in effective field goal percentage. They beat no offense, Colby, but a subpar ECU team, and it was a nice win for them. But I think they're just going to get boat raced here against Houston.
Tough couple days for ECU. Sorry for your loss, Colby.
Why? What else happened to ECU?
Virginia Tech baseball beat East Carolina baseball. Now that we're college baseball fans,
check out the college baseball podcast. All right, before we get to that, got to talk about IP Vanish. That's right. Want to take your IP out in the desert, bury it? Never going to see that thing again. IP Vanish helps you make your IP disappear. You're firing up incognito mode. You're not completely secure. You're not completely hidden. That's all you need. IP Vanish. They get you covered. They secure your data from hackers, from prying eyes. You don't want any of that. Again, you can even use it on the Fire Stick. IP Vanish. The best part is they're offering an amazing 70% off their yearly plan for our listeners and a 30-day money back guarantee. That's right, 70% off and a 30-day money back guarantee. IP Vanish, super easy to use, very easy to set up. We got it set up. We got it going here. Colby even uses it sometimes for God's Eye. Highly recommend IP Vanish. All you got to do is go to ipvanish.com/SGP. Use that promo code SGP, 70% off. Are you kidding me? ipvanis.com/SGP. Next up,
unsolicited, also unlimited devices is pretty awesome.
Yeah, unlimited devices and it doesn't slow you down. Those are like two massive factors. We're talking VPNs. Iowa laying 8.5 in the Big Ten tournament against Rutgers. I mean, Rutgers is an 8.5 point dog. Are you kidding me?
Dog.
Love me some Rutgers catching 8.5 points. Again, they kind of have a similar vibe to Providence. They're like a poor man's Providence where you couldn't really explain why they're hanging around. They're not a team that gets blown out. Props to Iowa, who again, very good at not turning the ball over, clean game as you'd expect, pretty good in adjusted efficiency offense for sure.
Just got a feeling that Ron Harper, it's not going to go down without a fight.
Well, and they set a Big Ten record for points in the conference tournament, AKA massive regression factor. You're playing a Rutgers team that they're gonna hang around in this game. I think they're a live dog as well. Give me Rutgers plus 8.5, Colby.
I'm on the Hawkeyes. I think they're ever since that Michigan loss, they have been a different team. And there's a reason why I picked them to win the Big Ten, and Rutgers away from Piscataway is not the same team. And you saw what Iowa did to Northwestern today. I know it's just Northwestern, but still a win like that with, what was that, 30 some points, really impressive. And it really, if you look at down the stretch with Keegan Murray and the way this team's playing, their only loss since that Michigan game was a 2-point loss at Illinois. They went to Michigan, beat them. They took down Michigan State by 26. They went to Columbus, Ohio, won by double digits. This team is playing at a level I haven't seen Iowa play at in a long, long time. Give me the Hawkeyes minus the points.
I mean, it
compelling case for Iowa, but I still think, especially at this number, and this Rutgers team, they got heart, man. At the very least, there's a couple
dog
on those teams.
Another thing is the Rutgers beat them in Piscataway, so the last time they played, so it's a revenge spot for the Hawkeyes.
Yeah, I just think,
AKA Rutgers not scared of them.
I just think to compare the defense of Northwestern to the defense of Rutgers, I don't know. I just don't want to be in a position where I've bet against Ron Harper and it's Iowa that I've bet on. I guess especially coming off a game where they destroyed a Big Ten record and had just an absolute awesome day.
Yeah, it just seems like a perfect time to fade Iowa coming off that massive.
Now
game.
The counter argument is they play on the same rims, but
yeah, and you could use my own logic to shit on my point there pretty easily.
The 3-point defense,
but they're exhausted from all those points they made.
Yeah, the legs are tired from shooting so much. The 3-point defense, that is the weakness of Rutgers too. So I'm this is purely a gut, like as a Jersey legend myself. It would be silly if I was taking some farm bred like Iowa Hawkeyes.
Yeah, come on. No offense to corn, but Rutgers is the play here. St. Louis in Washington D.C. for the A-10 tourney, laying 4 points against the Bonnies. Bonnies coming to life here. I was wanting to ride this Bonnies team in this tournament. I like them as a 4-point dog. I am worried about St. Louis's ability to get the offensive rebounds, 20th in the nation on that. But St. Bonaventure again, 4 points to 7-point dogs who hit their free throws, and the Bonnies do that 75.4% from the line. And I think that win they're coming off of was a nice confidence builder for this Bonnies team that was supposedly just going to walk into the A-10 and I think they were like -110 to win the A-10 at some point. So they had a lot of hype. They lost the hype. Now they're coming back to life.
They found the hype,
and I love them as a small, medium-sized dog here. Bonnies +4. Colby.
Yeah, I mean this is one. It's almost a bit of a head scratcher as far as like the Bonnies swept St. Louis back-to-back nights, February 11th, February 14th. That was when Bonnie really started to turn their season around. And I think the wrong team's favored. I understand that. Okay, throughout the whole season, St. Louis was the better team, but the St. Bonaventure, when everyone's healthy, give me the Bonnies all day. And like I said, I'm the one that called for them to plus, what was it, 900 to as my lock, as my dog for the 810. Give me the Bonnies. This is another lock here. I'm gonna reveal that already. This is my lock.
Wow, just giving out the goods right up front. You got to wait for them to buy you a drink, Colby. Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. I don't know if I'd say this that they should be favored, but I certainly don't think that St. Louis should be favored by 4 points. So I think the St. Bonaventure team is we've been picking them. I feel like down the stretch, and they've been winning games because they're a different team. Let's go, dog. I think maybe a dog. I like this as a dog because Sean can't play. He can't play the small dog sound for the 4
Not quite.
points.
I can play it unrelated. Just because I like hearing.
That's the threshold right there. 3.5 points.
3.5 and under.
You get the small dog.
I like it. SEC Conference Tournament. LSU, Arkansas. Sweet. LSU, they were up huge. Almost gave it back. Oh man, this should be a good game right now. It's a 1 point spread over at WinBet. Arkansas laying the one. I'm pretty torn on this one, Colby. I like LSU's offensive rebounding. I'm a little worried though. They almost gave up that game. Really let the comeback almost get the best of them. And I like this Arkansas team overall. I'm leaning Arkansas, but I could be talked out of it either way. What are you doing?
Well, I mean, they played not that long ago in Fayetteville, and Arkansas won by 1 in a game that LSU was kind of up the whole game.
Yeah. So that's what I'm worried about. They get a lead and then Arkansas hangs around and ends up pulling it out.
But at the same time, Arkansas is coming off that loss to Tennessee. LSU has the advantage of already playing a game, but I at the end of the day, I can't trust Will Wade. I can trust Eric Musselman. I'm going to go Arkansas, despite LSU having that advantage of getting a game in before the Razorbacks. I just think when it comes down to it, they're the better rebounding team. They're better at so many different statistics, short of what steals and what overall defense. The Razorbacks are pretty much beat the Tigers in every single statistic. So give me Arkansas to get it done.
You know, God's I was watching the SEC network earlier today when the aforementioned Must Bus himself was on in a t-shirt looking relaxed as fuck. Because as he said on air, oh yeah, we've been preparing for LSU for a while now. They are absolutely keyed in. Told a story about how he felt like they had a great shoot around in the morning and didn't feel like they needed to go to the high school they had planned for additional practice. You know who wanted to go practice more? The players. Arkansas is locked in. Lay the point. This is the lock, Colby. The Must Bus is rolling through Tampa. There's no strip club attending. They literally they went from one venue to another to practice more. I'm in on this team.
I do like Arkansas,
and they took a bus too. I like that ironically
too. Yeah, the old yeah. I mean,
he looked relaxed, really relaxed. I'm a certain swagger. I don't know if this is like national championship swagger, but it certainly is win the SEC type swagger.
All right, we got 4 more games left before we get to that. Time to shout out our good buddies over at Stable Duel. That's right. You like horse racing, you like DFS. Stable Duel is horse racing DFS simplified. So easy to get going. I mean, the sweat on horse racing is just so fun. You build a lineup for 10 races. You're just sweating out action all day. You get 10 horses in there, build your lineup up to set a lineup. There's prices on the horses based on their odds. Very much like putting together a DraftKings lineup. And the best part is you can win as much as $25,000.
Oh my God.
And they have free to play games. So if you're just I want to try it out, get a hang for it, get a little sweat on the ponies, you got those, the paid games, so much fun. We got plenty of picks over at sportsgamblingpodcast.com and our horse racing Slack channel, StableDuel.com. Head over there, build your stable, see how many winners you could pick, and I'll see you in the winner's circle. Play, race, win. StableDuel.com. Colby's pumped. I'm pumped. How about those Akron Zips? Our Akron Zips. They became our team once we realized these guys just fill it up. I mean, it's old school handicapping, but that Akron team, Sure, there were some moments where things maybe unraveled a little bit, and right now they're playing Toledo.
That's
Toledo
March.
is laying 5.5, but man, I just cannot get away from this Akron team. I love the fact that they're getting 5.5. You look at some of the advanced metrics, and they're right there, neck and neck with Toledo on a lot of the advanced stuff. I think they're going to be in this game, and I think they're a live dog as well. Fun team to watch. I'm taking Akron plus 5.5 all day. Colby, am I crazy?
No, zip it up. I mean, look, the one time they played this year was in Toledo. Toledo made some free throws down the stretch. It was actually a closer game than what the score indicated. And float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. Ali, that guy is
he's so fun.
With the game on the line, you're telling me you don't feel comfortable if this game is tied up with 2 minutes left and taking Akron with Ali, who's been a difference maker all year. Give me the zips to get it done, and sprinkle some on the money line.
So the game you're mentioning got stretched out to 8 points because Toledo hit their free throws, right? Yeah. Right. So Toledo really good at hitting their free throws. Sean, you're violating your rule. 5.5 point dog. I think you're violating your rule. Akron, not a great
flexible rule,
not a great free throw shooting team.
I fall in love with certain teams. Akron, I have an Akron infatuation, and yes, you're right. Technically, they are a 5.5 point dog, and technically they don't hit their free throws. But that's more for covering the spread. They're going to win outright. I love Akron.
Understand. I'm on Toledo. I think this is
I knew it.
Relatively bad matchup, and I think
Kramer wet blanket over here.
Colby foresaw this close game stretching from 3 to 7 because one team hits their free throws.
They're not in Toledo for this matchup, buddy.
Thank you.
This is in Cleveland.
Beautiful.
Creighton heads to. They don't head anywhere. They're hanging out in New York City for the Big East tournament, squaring off against the Friars. Providence laying 2.5. I mean, I could look at all these advanced numbers and metrics, but newsflash: Providence wins games. Whatever happens, Providence is going to come out on top. They are 28th in the nation in adjusted offense. Creighton with a nice win. I didn't see that coming, but again, like this Providence team, you can keep betting against them and expecting them to regress back to the mean and not be as successful as they have been, or you can just ride with the fun of the Friars. And again, they're both even at the free throw percentage. Not a huge advantage there. 3-point shooting, Providence is much better, 35.1 compared to 31.2. But again, this is less of metrics. This is just an eye test of, I don't want to fuck with this Providence team. Give me the Friars all day, laying 2.5. Colby.
I mean, Ed Cooley's my guy, and they have a home court advantage in Madison Square Garden. That place was lit today for them, and they got Horlicker. All right, you got Horlicker. I mean, and getting Durham back, you saw how that paid off, and he was out for the Villanova game, or perhaps they would have won that one. Their second leading scorer. So there's something about this team that I love, and the fact that at what point do you throw away the analytics and say, hey, this team wins all the close games because they're a veteran bunch and they're extremely talented.
Yeah. What I would say to the analytics crowd is that 20 data points is probably too small for regression to happen, on a fully consistent basis. Now, is this an edge case team? Yeah, but I don't know, especially with basketball. Like, do you remember what it was like to watch Kemba Walker just not want to lose? In the Big East tournament. Like sometimes there's teams that just know what they're doing, and I'm telling you guys, we're going to be talking about Providence as a now they're going to be up to like a 3 seed, and people are going to be finding excuses to talk about why we're going to pick against them.
Vermont is a great matchup,
and we're going to get like a 3-point discount on the line from like 12 to 9.
So you think people are still trying to fade them? Because I can't wrap my head around why you would not be back in Providence.
Sean, right, you walk up to a roulette wheel and you see that red has come up 18 out of 20 times. Your instincts are going to say to go the other way. But sometimes that wheel just has a bias for fucking. And you know what the best advanced analytic is, Sean? Wins. Now they do need to cover. They didn't cover it.
What was this?
Some Italian gentleman in Providence might be upset about that, but 2.5, they can manage that against the fighting Jurassic Parks.
All right, all liking Providence. Danger.
Danger.
TCU.
Ed Cooley, we love Ed
Beating Texas outright as a decent dog there, 4 points. And now in Kansas City, Missouri for the Big 12 tourney. Kansas laying a big number, took care of business today, as you would imagine. Kansas on cruise control because it's that time. It's not the real tournament. And I mean, the number is pretty massive, 10.5. How do you make a case for this TCU team? Can you make a case for this TCU team? Well, second in the nation in offensive rebounding, but not a great free throw shooting team. 305th in the nation. Colby, what are you doing here? Are you taking Kansas rock and chalk?
No, I mean the line does smell a little bit, but look, I think you can make a great case for TCU. They played back-to-back games on March 1st and March 3rd. On March 1st in Fort Worth, TCU won by double digits. And then the very next game for the Horned Frogs, they were in Lawrence, and they lost by 4. And that was a game that's tied up with about 45 seconds left. I think TCU has a formula that fucks with Kansas. I think they're kind of the dog that like the junkyard dog you don't want to play. And Kansas is kind of a finesse team. TCU gets after it defensively. They get after it on the glass. And I think Kansas is sitting there saying, damn, we probably wish we would have played Texas. TCU plus the points. They might be a live dog, guys.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'll take TCU plus 10.5. Kramer,
come on, TCU's done their bidding. They
did maybe win their Super Bowl by knocking Texas out.
That's all that really mattered. Yeah,
but 10.5's a little high. I'm
gonna lay the points with Kansas. I think the number's fine. Colby shared this with us earlier, but fun nugget about former rival head coach Kansas State's Bruce Weber. He mentioned that the reason for him continuing to grow his hair out this season, which by the way, if you didn't watch that, Bob Huggins, Bruce Weber. It looked like it could have come out of Boogie Nights. Two characters, absolutely. Anyway, Bruce Weber, reason for not cutting his hair this season, he vowed to not cut it until the teams tangled up in the FBI cheating investigations got punished. Colby, you had to love this. So he's not cutting it, even though Wade's in the crosshairs. I don't know. Fun nugget. Yeah, lay the points with Kansas.
And Bill Self, right? They were involved with that. Same with
that's just a funny protest. Like it's like the hockey playoff beard. Well, Bruce Weber was
teach you.
He's growing the compliance
compliance mullet. Miami, Duke, talking ACC tourney. Duke after crushing, after Coach K buzzed the league office said, "What we can't play him at full strength. Anything we can do to take down Syracuse." He got his 1-game suspension for Buddy, and his brother laid it out on the floor to cover the spread. That's all that really matters. Shout out to you, Syracuse. Great season. Duke now laying 9.5 against the Miami Hurricanes. Duke definitely had a tight butthole for some of that game. Does it loosen up here and maybe they cruise against Miami? But again, look at some of the numbers, like 2-point percentage, 3-point percentage. They're top 100. Like Miami might be able to hang around with this Duke team. Although this could be, now I think Syracuse was in their head a little bit with the zone. I could see them kind of cruising. This is a tough one. Colby, what are you doing?
Well, it's a revenge spot. Miami beat them in Cameron Indoor 76-74. And you wonder what defensive adjustments Coach K will have, because Miami, the key to beating Miami has always been stop their guards because their bigs don't really exist. I still think though 9.5, Duke's getting a little more value than they should. So give me the Hurricane plus 9.5. I just feel like this, we could see another one like we saw in Cameron Indoor. Duke will win this one, I think, but 9.5 is a little too large for me. Give me the Hurricane.
Yeah, I'm going to go Duke because the point you made about the revenge factor, I do think is probably enough. What I'm guessing is this will be kind of a game. Duke will be, 4 or 5 points ahead, then get a couple buckets late and get the cover with some free throws. Kramer?
Yeah, I don't know. One thing to note, I think what gave Duke trouble, like you mentioned, was the constantly changing defense and the relative length of Syracuse compared to a team like Miami. To that point, I think Duke's going to find it much easier to score in this game, and I think if you watch that, like Duke just didn't find the basket, and if Duke even shoots a little bit better,
yeah,
I think they can easily cover this number. Miami was not impressive. Larinaga looked absolutely like a deer in the headlights. So I'm sticking with it. Duke is not losing this. Like you said, they made the call to the league office.
Yeah,
they're plowing the road for this man. I do think this is the kind of game where you could potentially see that offensive explosion. Almost. I mean, do we say lock? This might be a lock too. Are we doing 2 locks, Sean?
Two locks.
Can we squeeze 2
and a dog? And then after that, we'll get to our fun interview with Mr. David Meltzer. Want to stick around for that? Here we go.
Happy birthday.
Lock, dog, and extra lock. Kramer.
Yeah, stay tuned to hear us get invited to hang out in SoFi Stadium. All right, I told you. I think I already told you. Lock at Arkansas. I saw that man. I got deeply lost in his eyes, and he's not stopping that bus for no one. And my dog, well, as per usual, there's not a ton of dogs on my card, but there's one that I absolutely love, and it's the Bonnies. +4. Colby told me the wrong team was favored. I just think this team is crescendoing at the right time in the season. And for my bonus lock, come on. We just got to keep riding this Providence train.
Yeah.
Toledo in close contention, but Providence, let's go.
Let's go.
Ed Cooley.
Indeed. All right. For my first lock, give me Rutgers +8.5. Way too big of a number. For my dog, give me Akron on the money line. That is a dog.
Whoa.
That is a dog if I ever felt one. And then
A&M as a dog would be fun too.
Yeah, and I'm gonna go Texas A&M catching 8 points. All dogs go to heaven. All dogs go to the window as well. Colby, I'll see you in the end of this podcast. What do you got?
We are locking up. Well, I mean, I gotta go TCU +10.5. I think they have a formula that Kansas does not like, and that is physicality. So I'm going to take TCU +10.5 as the lock. The dog, the Bonnies guys. Yeah. That's the quick play. I think if you're going to do anything else, it'd be Akron, but St. Bonaventure +4. I just love that one. I just think that there's no way they're going to lose that game. And then the bonus lock. Come on, Providence -2.5.
Yeah, I mean Providence is also. I wanted to mix it up, but yeah, they're a lock in my heart. I'm definitely going to be betting that one as well. Just wanted to give people the full slate. All right. Thank you to Colby Dant, host of the College Basketball Experience. Stay tuned. Subscribe to his pod. And while we're here, let's talk about PropSwap.com, where America goes to buy and sell real sports bets. That's right. Maybe sitting on some sweet conference tournament futures. You want to unload them? A little worried, starting to sweat. You want to hedge, or on the other side, you want to buy someone else's hedge and you want to get free cash. PropSwap.com, promo code SGP, get an instant deposit match up to $500. Are you kidding me? Sounds too good to be true. I assure you it's not. Folks over at PropSwap, great guys. PropSwap.com, promo code SGP. PropSwap, where America goes to buy and sell real sports bets. Joining us on the line, co-founder of Sports One Marketing and a fellow Blue Wire podcast host, David Meltzer. David, thanks for coming in, man.
It's so great to see you guys. You were right next door almost my entire time on Radio Row, and love your stuff and just couldn't wait to get on here, especially talking about one of my favorite subjects, sports gambling. Oh
yeah, sports gambling. Now and if people aren't completely familiar with your background, you're into marketing, investing. It feels like you're a jack of all trades, right? Where'd you get started? I know Sports One Marketing, your big thing. How'd that get going?
It happened. I ran the most notable sports agency in the world called Lee Steinberg Sports and Entertainment. So I met a guy named Warren Moon there. He was one of my clients, and Lee, as everyone has now known, had personal issues that caused Warren and I to spin off from Lee Steinberg as he went into the Hall of Fame in 2006. a sports marketing company. And so we kind of took the best of what we learned from Lee, the best relationships, the best events, and the best sponsors and the best charities, and amalgamated a business together over 12 years to become a global marketing company. In that, I've been involved in fantasy and gambling since its inception. Of course, running Lee Steinberg, we had multiple opportunities to participate in a variety of pre-chasm type of gambling, polling, and I say fantasy because that's the original catalyst for me.
Oh, yeah.
Once we saw fantasy, I knew it was just a matter of time until 20 some states would have legal sports gambling and we changed the face of the world. I also, before I met Lee, which applies to gambling, by the way, I was CEO of Samsung's phone division. Why is that important? Because I understood the network and the latency within the network. I understood content access and mediums on the wireless side. So I have always said, one of the killer apps would be if we could ever get real-time latency and security, we'd be able to gamble. And this, I've been involved since 99. So over 20 years, I've been involved in this.
You were there in the early days. And I see Ryan shaking his head. Figuring out the latency thing is still, for the live betting, is still one big hurdle, it seems.
Yeah, I mean, coming from tech, it's like really the only hurdle, right? You have physics, and yeah, I mean, look forward to when we can solve that problem because it feels like we're super close.
Yeah, we're getting so much closer, right? And I just on the polling fact, when people can pick, how much fun will games be when all three of us can sit there and say run or pass? I know that sounds basic, but a game would be ridiculously fun if we had some sort of point system, reward system, or gambling that each play we could try to use our intuition to figure out what we would do compared to what actually happens.
Oh yeah, I mean,
the key is say reward system and not gambling because you got to start with like, look, it's this fun way to reward our in-game interaction.
Oh, and then it's free to play. It's just credits. You can use the credits to exchange for gift cards, and then all of a sudden, next thing you know, it's full on gambling. You being in the investing space, we get hit up all the time. Either new companies, hey, we got a new app, we're looking to advertise on your network, we're looking to get the word out, or a lot of times people come to us with ideas and like, hey, I got a great idea for this new version of DFS. It's like poker meets horse racing. It's a great idea. And I don't know what to tell them. Like a lot of times they are good ideas. I go, yeah, let me know. I don't know how to get started in that sort of space. What advice would you give to people looking to get started in the gambling space, specifically when it comes to being an entrepreneur?
Well, ask for help, right? I mean, I have friends that run the biggest companies in the world, and we joke around. Every good idea is a bad investment. So it has a lot afterwards from just a good idea in order to be a good investment. Not only do you have to articulate the quantitative value, but you have to have credibility and emotional attachment. And the best way to do that is find someone who's sitting in the situation that you want to be in, ask them for help, and learn and align yourself with not just what's doing well today, but what's stable today. Human nature never changes. So if you see, gambling's been around a long time. In fact, when COVID hit, the most money that I've made in the stock market was I went right to the gambling companies that got crushed because I knew one thing. I've never been able to bet on the other oldest industry in the stock market because it's illegal almost everywhere. But this industry was becoming legal and it was pre-chasm. I had been waiting for it just to take a dip. So when COVID hit and you had, I won't mention any names, companies get crushed.
Oh
right?
Yeah, all the gaming ones. Yeah, Caesars. I remember my buddy who's a hedge fund guy, and this was like right when
you never build like a year-long gap of nothing into your road, your 3-year financial plan.
No one's ever. He goes, they're closing the casinos in China. This is like before it had hit. COVID had hit us. He's like, this is insane. He's like, casinos never close. We're really going to be screwed. And I'm like, you don't know what you're talking about. Just going to be, they close the casinos for a couple of weeks. And then next thing you know, they close everything. Casinos are back. And this is a question I get a lot. When sports were essentially canceled, we leaned into doing play-by-play for these Madden simulations. We found a whole new audience on Twitch, on YouTube. And it was really cool and was like a good way to either keep our audience and also find some new people. I know you're invested in I think you own a Call of Duty team as well.
Yeah. So we have 4 licenses. I'm one of the founding investors in what was Splice. It was the Toronto franchise, is now a huge media company, of course, because my 6-year-old son was right that this was a good investment, this esport thing. So Call of Duty, League of Legends, we're very blessed, Dota. But we're building an arena up in Toronto. But I have partners, The Weeknd, Marcus Colston. We all went in and we're founding investors. And my favorite this was one of the investments that I made. I told my wife it was what's called a marketing investment, meaning sometimes I make an investment as a founding investor so that I'm kind of the ambassador. And then people will come to me as an expert on ESPN or shows saying, oh, well, Dave Meltzer is the original investor in esports. He has this background as, legendary sports executive with Steinberg and with Warren Moon. And so it's more a marketing play to raise my brand. I tell my wife that I had a $16 million valuation. Marcus Colston, The Weeknd, Meta was involved, right? I told her, we're going to get on ESPN. It's going to be, honey, I just want to tell you, I'm going to lose all my money. And $16 million is a terrible valuation. Of course, it's become the best investment I've made. And you're looking at a guy that lost over $100 million in 2008. So wow. I had some big losers in there of things that were certainties in my investment career. But I paid the dummy tax and I help other people kind of identify the market makers, and the margins.
I mean, it makes me feel better about my Bucks playoff loss a couple of months ago.
Yeah, it puts my Syracuse money line in perspective when David throws out he lost 100 million. I think if you're putting things in perspective, it's like, hey, I lost 100 million, but only a certain breed of people can lose 100 million and
make
then
it back
and then make it back.
Yeah.
And then you made it back.
That's Sean's mentality at the blackjack table every time we're in Vegas.
I'm a college defensive back. So when, I lost everything, I told my wife how many times I got toasted in college. How many guys beat me and I came back and returned a punt for a touchdown or picked off the next pass. I'll pick off the next one. Don't worry. I'll make it back.
Well, now I think that's great advice for all our listeners. If the wife's giving them some grief about losing a couple bucks, listen, honey, I got to have a short memory as a gambler. Okay. Exactly. I got burned, but I'm coming back. It's like, yeah, that's great. Your wife,
his last words.
Yeah, exactly. So I didn't realize you played college ball. What team did you play for?
Well, I was an average Division III football player because that's the best I could do. But I played for Occidental College. We actually were very competitive in Division III. Vance Mueller. My very first game I played against Christian Okoye, and he ran me over. I was
the Nigerian nightmare.
Yeah, I was bullet on the kickoff team, and I nailed him in his thighs. Next thing I know, I'm like on my back, and he actually stepped on me. I market the Pro Football Hall of Fame for years, and he became a friend of mine. He does the California Sports Hall of Fame, and I always joke around, man, they named you correctly because I have had more nightmares about you running me over than anybody else.
Well, if you had to put a list of guys you don't want to tackle, I think Christian Okoye all time is right up there. I mean, he's neck and neck.
Bo Jackson,
Bo Jackson,
Herschel Walker,
Derrick Henry,
Walker. You're nailing them all. You guys know football. Those guys' power is ridiculous. I think Earl Campbell. I think if you're old enough, that's Jim a guy Brown. You don't want to get run over by Jim Brown, Earl Campbell, Herschel Walker, Bo Jackson, or the Nigerian nightmare.
Truly a nightmare. That's funny you say Occidental. We're literally 2 blocks like north of Occidental. Our studio here is in Eagle Rock.
Yeah.
Big supporters of Occidental and the Philadelphia Stars quarterback for the new USFL league, which I'm sure you're aware of. We've been doing a ton of USFL coverage, was actually the starter for Occidental a couple of years back. So funny how it all comes together there. Now I know our crowd in our Slack channel, the guys, they're both really into the NBA Top Shot, those NFTs, and now NFL all day, their NFTs. What would you, any sort of investing advice when it comes to NFTs? Are you involved in NFTs at all? Because when you try to explain it, I have trouble explaining it because it's like, wait, why would you pay this much for a YouTube highlight? And I go, oh, you don't get it. You got a serial number and it's a cool play. And they got a badge and like a fire thing. They're like, wait, $200,000 for a JPEG? Explain NFTs and your take on them.
And I'm in several projects with Mahomes and Drew Brees, with Turncoin. Kenny Lofton and I have a project that we're working on together as well. But I'm a picks and shovels type of person. And so let me explain, number one, in the memorabilia space, NFTs just have a better capacity with Web 3.0 or the blockchain to allow you to fractionalize and authenticate your investment, but it still has the same risk as buying a baseball card. Most baseball cards aren't worth the paper they're printed on. So you still have to be selective of the collectible you're buying. But where it really is interesting to me is where you can tie in the experiences. So now you have an extra souvenir tied into, something, an event or an experience. So instead of getting a lanyard or your ticket stub, which adds some value, now you have a fractionalized, democratized way of trading, completely liquid, but also completely authentic. And I am actually, from what I've learned in sports in NFTs, coming from technology originally, I'm using it in real estate because the word democratization confused me when I first learned it. But basically what it means is all the broker fees and all the bullshit fees that you have to pay when you're trading something are gone. And there is no fear of anything other than you getting really so there's no fake watches, no reprints.
Yeah.
It's all real. Talking serial number. So if you take into account how liquid it is, how fractionalized, why is fractionalization important? Because it makes the market bigger. If you're buying a $200 million building or $20 million collectible and you have 1/10,000th of it, there's a lot more buyers. You have a lot more control of the pricing in the market, perceived and bottom line pricing. So the ideas of NFTs, if you're making it aligned with collectibles, it runs the same way as a baseball card, but where the real value lies is in the blockchain, Web 3.0, fractionalization, democratization, and authentication.
Yeah, no, and the democratization is a good way of putting it. I think when people say NFTs, they just think of like the Bored Ape headshot. Right. And they're like, what is that? It's just some ape with sunglasses smoking a cigarette. But to your point, yeah, you could maybe own 1/1000th of a commercial building. And here, instead of, some, some partial deed or some weird share, you just own a NFT that you have on the blockchain.
I mean, when you sit down and think about it, it makes a lot more sense than buying a piece of paper that has some ink on it. It's a lot more rational of an investment, especially when you're talking about $20 million, large scale ape investments.
Well, imagine in a stadium, for example, because this will happen. Mark my words. I'm probably the first one that's going to say this out there, but we all know what happened with the stock market in the Green Bay Packers. Like, imagine if Spanos, for example, takes the LA Chargers and said, okay, there's 82,000 seats in our stadium. We're going to sell off 1/82,000th of the Chargers to you. And you're going to be completely liquid in that, right? And imagine what happens to the market when you become a true owner with no fees, authentic, right? Authentic. So nobody can sneak into your seat or whatever. Your valuations of a team would probably be, maybe today the Chargers $2.5 to $3 billion, maybe even $4 at best, but it would go to 10 billion instantly.
These teams were onto something with the PSLs. It's just the NFT application is so much better, right? Like, you can at least understand the value you're buying. Like when the Giants were like, you know what, it's going to be 10 grand per seat for your right to pay us another 10 grand a season for the tickets. People are like, what the hell? But if you wrapped it up into this NFT thing, it's going to make a lot more sense.
The partial ownership.
Yeah. Now you got a piece of the pie.
You get an NFT and a large soda from the Giants. I remember that.
I didn't know you were Eagle Rock guys. So you got to come over. I have an office podcast studio and a suite at SoFi. So we'll have to do some content together back over at SoFi, so it's not too far away from Eagle Rock.
Oh yeah, you don't need to twist my arm to go hang out in the stadium. How do you pull that off, David? I mean, you pulled a lot of deals off in your day, but how do you get a podcast studio in the stadium?
So Steve Jones, have you ever been to the Star down in Texas, Frisco? So I went to the Star, meet Steve Jones. We had done some work for Jerry. And Steve tells me they have these offices, and he's like, I'm like, oh my God, that's my dream to have an office. And there's a practice facility looking over a football field. That is ballers at its best, right? And he's like, well, Dave, you could have a remote address here. We'll, charge you $5,000 a year, and you have the Star address, and we can get your mail here. I'm like, dude, that's not what I need, right? And so anyway, literally 5 years later, after they built that thing, he calls me. He goes, Dave, I got a 10-year lease for you. I was like, dude, I'm not coming to Dallas. I'm not coming to Frisco. What are you talking about? He goes, we just got the deal for the new stadium in LA, and you're first on our list for an anchor client to bring in, more people of notoriety to have these leases. We have 40 offices at the stadium. And I then started negotiating and say, hey, can I get a conference room, a podcast studio? Can I include, my suite to watch the games and concerts? So I worked in a 10-year lease. It's the greatest office space in America. And my wife, of course, here we go again, right? My wife was holy the moly, like, David, you're not going to just sign yourself up for a 10-year lease on a stadium that's not even built. You haven't even seen a picture of the office. I go, yeah, but I've seen the star. Can I tell you, once again, though, this probably was the best business decision. It wasn't an investment. Obviously, it's an office, but it's incredible what I get to do, from Super Bowl to the Rolling Stones to being able to do podcasts there every week. You guys got to come by and join me.
Oh yeah. Again, we'll definitely follow up. That would be fun if you're trying to record a podcast while the Stones are going on. Like, hey guys, keep it down. I'm trying to talk.
It's my office, please.
Hey, I had Marianne Williamson, who's a presidential candidate on my entrepreneur podcast, because I have the sports and entertainment one, like you guys, in Blue Wire with the Win, and it's beautiful. But like, while I'm on the podcast, they're practicing. That huge $1 billion screen. They're practicing the promos. And I'm literally like pressing mute, and they're playing the Rolling Stones behind me. So that actually did happen.
Nice.
That's funny. While we're talking blockchain a little bit, I know it's been fashionable, and we saw Odell Beckham do it. A bunch of athletes have come out and said, you know what? I want to get paid in cryptocurrency. If you were advising, and maybe you already have, would you advise athletes to be taking some of their salary in crypto? What do you think about that as a business strategy?
100%. I think you should take part, not all of it, your salary, but part of your salary. You should take it in the basic coins, either stable coin, Bitcoin, or Ethereum. You should take it, and they should put it right into the Celsius network, which is a crypto bank that pays 8 to 10% on their money, and they pay you interest every Monday. I would absolutely, every client I talk to, every marketing client, NIL client, I tell them, look, you got to take a portion, ask, especially because there's a lot of these, unbelievable crypto companies sponsoring these guys.
Yeah.
They give away their Bitcoin and ETH like it's water. You can get a lot more of it because it's like literally not real to them. I take Ethereum all the time for speaking engagements, for consulting. I like to take a portion of the pay in that Bitcoin.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. 100%.
Speaking our language.
Again, right up our alley. We were early on crypto, kind of fell into it, doing business with the offshores. Again, it's
I started actually trying, and I just fall into shit and come out smelling like roses. That's my new theme song.
Yeah, I still remember the day I told Ryan. You remember all that dog coin I randomly got for the company a while back? Things are looking up for the company as a whole. All right, David. Before we let you go, I know a lot of your speaking and stuff surrounded on this mission of empowering over 1 billion people to be happy. Obviously, a very ambitious idea, but it does seem like kind of a cool concept. Walk us through what you're trying to accomplish here.
Yeah, well, years ago, my 13-year-old daughter's friend committed suicide, and it really shook me. I couldn't fathom why or how it could happen. And I started looking at what I was teaching people throughout the years with my free trainings, my group coaching, my one-on-one stuff. I said, you know what? I have a way to teach people, make money, help people, and have fun. I can change the world, but how am I going to get to over 1 billion people to create this collective consciousness? And then I found guys like you. And I said to myself, you know what? If I can share how to do this with people like you guys, you have reached to at least 1,000 people to teach them to teach 1,000 times 1,000, a million times 1,000, a billion. So if I stick to this to the rest of my life, I know I can get to 1,000 people who hopefully after this interview, you guys will follow more of my content. Maybe you'll even read my book or an audio book, but eventually at least 1,000 people on earth will have that capacity to empower 1,000. And I can't think of, I've lived a blessed life. Obviously, you guys know what I've done in my life. but this would to me be the ultimate legacy I could ever leave. Even if I don't make it, I've already impacted thousands of people, maybe even millions, and changed their lives. I get emails, DMs, and messages every day that I'm helping impact them in these 3 areas of happiness to make money, help people, and have fun.
Seems like
that sounds like hitting a long shot parlay
yes.
on March Madness.
Sounds like our first half unders. We went on a nice run last year for March Madness, 23-7-2. So we made money, we felt happy, and made a lot of other people happy. Well, I was happy you were able to join us, and I'll be happier if people give you a follow on Twitter at David Meltzer. You can get all his info there, links to his podcasts, his books, guest speaking. He does it all. And David, we're definitely going to follow up on the SoFi invitation. Thanks a lot, and have a great weekend, man.
Absolutely. I really appreciate both of you. It's so nice to see you guys again. Thank you.
All right. Take it easy, David.
Yeah. Take care.
All right. That'll do it for this edition of the Sports Gambling Podcast. Make sure you download the SGPN app, man. Tons of free picks, tons of free podcasts. Toss us a nice 5-star rating and review. This is March.
Thank you for participating in the Sports Gambling Podcast.
For the Sports Gambling Podcast, I'm Sean, stacking the money green, and he is Ryan.
Sean, I'll see you at SoFi.
Kramer, let it ride.